APM recruiting season just got started. All the tier 1 companies start to hire associate product manager as entry-level product management. A lot of people want to break into product management, and APM is one of the best track for people to get started, even if no experience at all. However, the biggest challenge is only less than 1% people can become APM, which is associate product manager, or RPM, rotational product management. And today, I had a pleasure to demystify how you're able to break into associate product manager role with a Google APM product manager, Cher Hu. Make sure to stay until the end of the talk where she demystify the best resources for everybody to get started for free to break into product management. Hey guys, this is Dr. Nancy Lee at Director Product featured in Forbes. I've helped thousands of people land the dream PM job offer in fan companies, a unicorn startup, and continue to get promoted as a product leader. In this channel, we'll talk about tech trends and free product management training. Like and subscribe, check out a new video every Tuesday. Hi Cher, welcome to Product Insider Podcast. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Dr. Nancy Lee, for inviting me to the podcast.
Yeah, I've been following your very inspiring journey for a couple years, and based on my research, you directly became associate product manager at Google as soon as you finish your degree from Columbia University, and then you transitioned into AI product management within about a year or so within Google. Now you have been working on several very impressive products with millions of users. I'm so glad to have you on the show. Cher, can you quickly introduce yourself to the audience?
Yes, absolutely. My name is Cher. I am a product manager at Google. I started my product management career in the Google APM program about 3 years ago. And during my time at Google, my team and I developed and launched the Gemini API and Google AI Studio, among a lot of other great products. And I also run a tech nonprofit called Hack for Social Impact, where we leverage developers in AI and non-AI to work with governments and nonprofit organizations to amplify the impact of tech in underserved industries and communities. Yeah, I'm so excited to share about how to be a PM.
Sure, that's actually very short intro, but very packed fast career growth based on what you described. So let's start from the beginning. As I mentioned, lots of people want to become an APM because that's actually the best way for people to get started with their career in product management, even if they don't have prior experience. Can you tell us how you get started with your interview and eventually landing a job as an APM, which is Associate Product Manager in Google?
Yeah, absolutely. So I came into being an APM kind of, I would say, surprisingly. It was kind of a coincidence where I was working in investment banking in my junior year summer internship. Have never heard of what being a product manager is. And I was pretty late to the game. I was already like almost a senior and I have never done any product management internships. At the time, one of my friends was a LinkedIn APM intern. And he came to New York City and told me all about what being a PM is like. I was like, wow, this sounds great. Like, how can I apply? And I applied. I can explain more later, but I applied to a bunch of companies, like study upon resources, and yeah, that's how I became a PM. I got a job. I was very fortunate to get a job as a Google APM, and that's how I launched my APM career.
Let's slow down a little bit. You heard about the opportunity, you're late in the game, and you don't have PM internship experience. So, number one, how did you actually apply for those APM jobs? You apply for online or you network? Tell us step by step land interview first.
Yeah, I think the best thing to do to apply is just to apply. It sounds very simple, but I think a lot of people like get intimidated and they don't apply and don't put their best foot forward. Like, so I think the best thing to do is just to apply. And there's like a few nuances when actually applying. The first is, of course, getting a referral is great. At the time, I had no direct connection to the product management world, so I did a bunch of LinkedIn cold outreach to people who eventually gave me referral. For example, I got a Google referral from a Google APM at the time, which I think really helped me to secure an interview. And secondly, most PM positions take interviews on a rolling basis. So the faster you apply after the application opens, probably the better the odds. So staying up to date with friends or newsletters about when these positions actually open and applying as soon as possible is great. And third is using great resources to prepare for that interview, like Crack the PM interview, Dr. Nancy Lee's channel, Exponent, and other resources. You can get mock interviewing from friends. from people who have experiences in the past.
um Share, so let's break down the process, and let's say you start networking and you also encourage people to apply early. Did you apply first and then network, or you already be like, oh, let me get the referral line up and then have your referral pass your resume to the recruiters? So what's your sequence given you're kind of late in the game?
Yeah, the latter. From my understanding, most jobs in PM or even other jobs or not, what a lot of the process works is like you get a referral and they send you a link to apply and you apply through the referral, which means by definition you need to have a referral before you apply. So kind of
Hmm.
think about networking like in the weeks and months leading up to the application and then having applying with a referral.
This is awesome. I You also mentioned you did LinkedIn outreach. You just DM people on LinkedIn, say, hey, I'm interested in APM roles. So what did you say to get those referrals?
Oh yeah, yeah. I really love using LinkedIn. I think it's a great equalizer. You know, like instead of just depending on like family connections or alumni
Mm-hmm.
connections, that's a great route to like be able to reach out to anyone in the professional world. I'm not sponsored by LinkedIn. I'm saying this like from my heart. It's like you can talk to anybody, right? As long as they reply. I just like search Google APM in the LinkedIn search bar, and I connect with I send a connection note to everyone. I just say like, "Hi, my name is Cher. I would love to learn about your experiences as a Google APM. Here are some of my experiences because they will get a lot of outreach. So you want to make sure your notes that stand out. You can say, oh, I also went to that school, or like, I'm also interested in blank thing that you see they're interested in, or like just something I led this group in college, something that like makes you appealing to talk to as the person on the other side of the outreach. Honestly, the reply rate was not very high, and people probably receive a lot of outreach. But I think just trying the best and being consistent yields the best results.
Awesome. And then through those networking and cold outreach, you got
Hmm.
interview opportunity at Google.
Hmm.
Can you tell us how much time you prepare? And last time when we talked, you literally get up at 5 a.m. to prepare. So tell us how exactly prepare for those interviews.
Yeah, I think the best thing to do is to have a consistent schedule to prepare, to like carve out consistent time. For example, if interviewing is the most important thing that you're doing in these few months, I would recommend just like putting that carving time out as a top priority. For example, when I was interviewing, I was already like a senior in college and I had schoolwork. But I woke up at 5 a.m. and I studied from let's say 5:30 to 8:30 a.m. every day, these like product management resources and interview guides, and practice my interview before like beginning my day and going to school. And that's the best way to make sure that even though I had schoolwork at the time, I still had at least 3 hours a day, even on a weekday, to prepare. I think having that consistency and schedule is great. I didn't have that much time to prepare, honestly. Like I had just like a week before my initial round interview and maybe a month or so before my final round interview. But I think having that like time carved out where I can really focus on interview helped me utilize my time the best.
Actually, you're pretty fast. I bet you're very intuitive in terms of learning product management knowledge, those case interviews. You only have 1 week for the first round, preparation for first round. And then after you pass first round, you have 1 more month. So basically total is like 5 weeks to land an
Yeah.
offer from Google. That's like crazy. That's a crazy experience. This is awesome. So how exactly do you prepare? So you mentioned you use some like free resources, the books, and also our YouTube channel. So for example, how do you do it? Like, how much time do you dedicate to mock interview? How much time do you dedicate to studying? Given you actually like really wanting the job and actually really admire you get up at 5 a.m. I'll never do it. My kids wakes me up at 5, but I don't voluntarily getting up at 5 a.m. So how do you use those 3 hours per day to get the result within 5 weeks?
Yeah, yeah. I think, well, first of all, I think if there's a one takeaway from this experience, it's even if you think you're late to the game, or even if you think you don't have that much time, you can still do it. As for how to actually do it, I think the most important thing is understanding what's your weakest link and where you need to improve the most. For example, in the beginning, I had even no framework of how to what a product management interview is like. So I read Crack the PM interview, which is the most like a pretty comprehensive guide to what I can expect and not expect, and that was great to give me some high level knowledge. And then after I had those high level knowledge, I could say watch Dr. Nancy Lee's YouTube channel and get more tips, which I would then understand better with the framework of the high level interviews in mind. And I would watch Exponent, which has a lot of mock interviews with existing product managers at big companies who pass the interviews, and they usually do a really great job. So I can learn from their answers, and I do reverse outlining, which means like they have an outline for their answer, and I listen to it and reverse outline what their outline would have been, so that I can learn from their answers. And I also, I had limited ability to do this, but I also found friends to mock interview me. I didn't know that many PMs. I only did it a few times, and they're really gracious to offer their time. But to the extent they can do it, that would be also great.
So basically, majority of time you spend is actually studying from the best framework, best examples, instead of just buying go out to do mock interview just for the sake of getting in the reps, right? It's more about the fundamental before you go out for practice.
Yes.
Yeah, this is also what I highly recommend others as well. And we have a separate podcast channel and YouTube video where I interview our student Alex Tan. Currently, is already working for Google as well, but he's more senior. He's more like principal product manager. But when he broke into Google, he said same thing. He said, "Nancy, I only did 2 mocks. The rest, I just study all your YouTube videos and all the course content." Out there. So yes, I do highly recommend people to really understand how to use the time more efficiently. Yeah, you need lots of motivation to put in the time, get up 5 a.m., but you also need to think about this 5 a.m. must be used very efficiently, or what's the point getting up so early? We also have lots of free resources regarding the checklist, a different kind of interview framework. I'm going to link it in the description of the show note and share you guys regarding all different free examples of framework we have invented, such as my computer science PhD framework, modified circles framework, and also Gucci framework as well. I also have a separate video where I break down this framework with training as well. I'm going to link it in the description of this channel of this video as well. Cher, I have one more follow-up question. Except the interview resources and framework and different kind of case studies, which will have lots of free content on our YouTube channel, people should check, and inside of our probably inside of podcast as well. But it's something special about Google. You know, the differences between Google, Meta, and any other, even AI startups, the APM interviews. So is there any special about Google APM interviews people need to pay attention to?
At the time, Google had a system design interview, which I'm not sure they still had. I think that was like a big difference where Google wants technical people to have technical experience. You know, you can only apply if you have a computer science degree, for example, and they will tend to ask you a bit more technical questions. That was my understanding. But I think regardless of which company you apply to, one thing that's really important is to understand the product landscape of that company and really have a fundamental understanding of how their different offerings work together. For example, Google has so many different parts, and so does Meta and Microsoft. Like Google has Google Play and Google Workspace and Google Search and Ads and YouTube and in the past Stadia. They have so many different investments. So understanding what's their company's mission and how do these different products tie in together to make this ecosystem framework is important for understanding how the company works. And I think having a deep understanding of the company you're interviewing for is really, really advantageous, because then you can really have an intelligent conversation with your interviewer about their work. Your interviewer would be an existing product manager at the company, most likely. So if they say they work at blank product area, you can ask them really like detailed questions about that product's competitive landscape, or like how they're thinking about the product, instead of when you have the opportunity to ask them a question, just asking, oh, can you tell me more about your product? That's not a very nuanced question, but like, oh, here's a competitor. They're doing this like competitor things, and how do you respond to that? That's a more nuanced question to show you understanding of the industry and the space. So I think that's also a way to stand out, through like being able to ask intelligent questions. One thing I did, for example, was I went to the Google store in Chelsea in New York City to like, you know, try out other products just to make sure I have an understanding. And I bought a lot of things to sign up for free trials, and bought hardware to just make sure I understood what they're doing.
Did you buy everything and return everything? Was it? Through the
I had a Google like about I kept a few. I kept most of the things. I didn't buy that many. Most of the things I could try out in the store, so that was good. Yeah.
That's a smart strategy. We also have a free guide where you can use prompt engineering to ask ChatGPT to give you some fast overview about Google product. I'm
Mm,
going to link the free guide in the description of the show note. People can go to our website right here to download as well, so that you can quickly do the product overview, comment analysis very quickly, more than Google and any other companies out there. And right now, I think Google has like thousands of products. It's actually mind blowing. Couldn't keep up with all the new changes. People need
mm.
to be smart regarding saving your time and getting all the information quick, but it's
That
also they should experience it
that
themselves.
sounds great. I mean, I wish I had this or knew about this. Now as interviewing, that sounds like a great resource.
Yeah, we're gonna link it in the description of the show note. Everyone should just go there and download and as well share. So now you are Google PM, your AI PM at Google, and you start with APM and later on you group in the organization. Can you tell us more regarding what does APM do? What does nice perks does APM have? So how does APM lead you to where you are right now? So what's a career trajectory after you land an offer as APM?
Yeah, so when you start as APM, there's a few really great things. I think the three top things is a community, ability to get mentorship, and try out different product areas at Google to be a PM in. So I'll start with the first one, with the community.
Hmm.
Each year, Google hires about 40 to 50 APMs globally.
Wow.
Um, and it's not a huge number. So there's some kind of camaraderie or just like community feeling with everyone who's like maybe having similar career goals or ambitions or intentions for learning as you. So I think like when I first moved from New York to San Francisco, it was really great to have that community of people to explore being a new grad and being a new PM in. So I think that's really amazing. Second one is opportunity for mentorship where as an APM, like when you first start, people at Google, like they know that you're APM, which they have mostly at Google great experiences with people who are APMs, but they also know that you're haven't done this before, so they give you a lot of good mentorship within the program and within your Google team to help you succeed in your job. And beyond just direct mentorship, the APM program also organizes APM trips, both domestic and international, to help you understand more the product landscape in the US and abroad. Those are great opportunities. And the third is to try out different product areas where in the 2 years that you're APM, you get to try two different teams, each for a year. And that gives you some more exposure. Maybe in some of them you work in consumer products, some of them you work in B2B, some of them you have a more engineering focused PM role or a more design focused. So that just gives you more exposure to like what you want and what you don't want, so that or later in your career you can draw those lessons for making your decisions.
So how long are those programs? I think 2 years, right?
two
So you got to
years.
experience everything within 2 years. But you become AIPM less than 2 years. So did you choose to pass early so that you finish APM, you become full PM earlier?
Uh, I had this. Everyone has to do 2 years of APM program, but in my second year of rotation, I joined Google Labs that worked on Palm API, which later became Gemini API, and Google AI Studio, which are great opportunities. I was really fortunate to have the opportunity to work with a team, and that's how I also launched my career as a AIPM.
This is very exciting. Hey guys, our next episode with Cher, she's gonna break down into how she become a IPM, what kind of resources people can use. Make sure to watch the video right here once it's published. Cher, and also for people who is interested in our more hands-on training, get you ready for APM interviews and crack into those top-tier companies. And feel free to go to our website, pmsr.io/masterclass, to learn more about different kind of offerings we have, as well as resume reviews, mock interviews you guys need. I'm gonna link it in the description, the show note as well. Share, we have been talking about growing our career APM all the way to AIPM and growing a career in Google as well. So let me ask you a personal question. So how do you grow yourself professionally and personally? What resources do you recommend people to use?
Yeah, I think the answer for both professionally and personally is actually the same. It's the people you surround yourself with, because we are really the average of the top people we spend the most time with. And I think having great people you work with, both at work and that you interact with in a daily basis really would help you become a better person, become a better product manager. How maybe materially that could pan out is looking for learning opportunities anywhere. For example, if you live in the Bay Area or you live in somewhere with a big tech scene, there probably chances are a lot of AI events or tech events that you can go to, where you can meet people who are also in the industry and looking to grow themselves, grow their network, and really to learn about the industry. So going to professional events, going to paper reading groups, speaker series, really like engage intellectually with technology as something that would drive society in the future. And meeting people who are like-minded about those topics is a great way to both gain professional insights and not also just to make myself a better person in general.
Yeah, I really resonate with what you said earlier regarding you're the average of 5 people around you. And totally. And lots of new doors will open and depends on who you know, who you work with, and how other people can make introduction to right position at the right time. Ourselves, and actually with NPM Accelerator, we also have our own like in-person event coming up in August, and make sure everybody check out our announcement and make sure subscribe to our newsletter. It's all posted in our announcement as well. And now, Cher, let me ask you final questions. And for people who have additional questions, how can they follow you and where can they find you?
Yeah, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. It's just my first name and last name, Cher Hu. You can find me there. I also run a nonprofit, Hack for Social Impact. If you want to follow what we're doing or contribute to Hack for Social Impact, you can go to our website, hackforsocialimpact.com. But I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, so you can always find me there.
This is awesome. We're going to link all those important links in the description of the show note, and everybody make sure to reach out. Thank you for joining us here and for all the audience. And we have been working really hard to invite all the amazing guests to give us very great insight. Make sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, podcast on all your favorite platforms like Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and as well as follow ups on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, X, and TikTok as well. And we're also on Red. If you want to see similar insightful content like this, make sure to help us to rate a 5-star review so that other product managers are able to discover amazing content just like this, so we can all grow our network of people together. And for people who's interested in product manager accelerator training, feel free to go to our free training, our masterclass. We teach you how to create a product portfolio within 14 days. And I'm going to link it in the description of this show note as well. This is Dr. Nancy Lee from PMAccelerator.io. Make sure to check out this next YouTube videos and podcasts we record. We share cool right here about AI product management.